Hi everyone. So I've been using Pixel 8 for almost 3 weeks now, and I wanted to take my time before I make the review because I wanted it to settle down. I had a great initial impression with this phone, but there were certain conditions I did not try, so I wanted to take my time. But the problem is I'm a little bit more confused than I was before because I had different experience with this phone. But I'll try my best to make it more clear to you so that you don't get confused like me. I like this phone because I like the Pixel experience. I am glad Google made it smaller as compared to Pixel 6 and Pixel 7. I'm just sad there is no matte finish, so I had to use a case. I don't know why Google went to the Apple route because even Apple has changed their base model to the frosted finish. But one thing they did do better is to make Pixel 8 more premium with almost symmetrical bezels. They increased the refresh rate and the screen is more brighter now. It is actually a really bright panel, so you don't have to worry about it in the direct sunlight. I wouldn't call it the best quality panel because I've noticed slight green tint, but it's not as bad as it was on the previous generation. But the Pixel 8 Pro display is definitely better than this one. The panel is better and you also get the latest technology like LTPO so that it can refresh to a much lower rate to save the energy. I initially didn't like the speaker on Pixel 8 as well, but I think after using it for some time, my opinion has changed. It is a good speaker and it's a great improvement over last year, but it still lacks a little bit bass. I've also compared it with the iPhone 15, so you can go check that video out. But these all are the good parts of the phone, but there is still questionable part which made a lot of people think multiple times before getting this phone. Google is using their own chipset that is called Tensor, and this is the third generation, so it's called Tensor G3. It is made by Samsung and it is made on Samsung fabrication. It is not technically like able to compete with the latest generation processor like Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 or A16. I'm not even going to bring Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 or A17 Pro in this picture. So Google is not about the raw power, it's more about AI capabilities or that what we used to tell us like even a generation before. But I think that's an excuse now and they should do better because I get it, pixels are not for gaming, but if I want to just edit a picture in their own photos app, it takes a lot of time sometimes and it is frustrating. There are times when I click two pictures, delete one and try to edit the previous one. This takes a lot of time to load and I can reproduce it anytime. I mean, I've been facing this issue from Pixel 6. I don't know why they haven't fixed it yet. And there are times when I try to just remove the audio from a video because I want to post it to social media. It takes a lot of time. So yes, you cannot get away with AI with everything. You need to have some basic tasks that can actually run on your phone. And this is where I think this phone lacks like the raw power that you actually need. Their solution this year to fix the heat and save battery is to throttle the phone so that it doesn't heat up much. But that's not working out really great for them. The battery life isn't great either because these chipsets are not efficient. I mean, I was using this phone on 4G and it was decent. I was getting around 6 hours of screen on time. But I faced recently that this phone still gets warm even on the daily use when I'm inside the home using Wi-Fi, and it's not even hot here in Delhi right now. So I think the problem is not solved. They are just throttling it to like keep the heat down, but I think the problem still exists. The kind of good thing that this time you get a little bit more faster wired charging, so it takes around 1.5 hours to fully charge this phone as compared to 2 hours on Pixel 7. But the battery life isn't improved. And also with Android 14, it's really hard to get the good estimate like how much your battery is working because the stats are like all over the place. And the last issue, which is actually a lot bigger for a lot of people, and that is going to be the weak modem. I was using Geo on this phone and I was not getting 5G signal. I moved back to Airtel, things are much better now. But the thing is, my friend is using Airtel with his Pixel 8 Pro and he says that he like gets a lot of call drops and there are a lot of times when he's not reachable, which he didn't face before on his Fold 5. So he's waiting for S24 to move back to that phone. So the modem is still weak and it's a problem for a lot of people. And he's using Airtel, which is much better in Delhi NCR. So like that's one thing that you need to think about. This phone also doesn't support Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7 in many regions, including India. We just got car detection, but there are a lot of features that are still missing in many regions. So I just think that Google cannot always rely on AI. They're also putting the AI in camera as well. I have seen a thread where people are complaining about like Google doing overprocessing, and I face the same issue as well. Google is trying to recreate a picture or some part of it to enhance the HDR, but messing up the photo big time. See, I'm not saying it's a bad camera. I still love the photos coming out of Pixel, and I think the videos have been improved as well. I've also compared this phone with iPhone 15, which I think is one of the best camera in this price point with that new 24 megapixel camera and new HDR. So you can check that video out. But I really like the HDR performance on Pixel. I think it's still better than iPhone 15. Although sometimes the photos do lack some colors and require editing where I felt the phone is slow. The portrait is something that I'm a little bit disappointed with because I think Google is using the same algorithm for a long time, so they need to improve the edge detection because Samsung and iPhone both provide much better edge detection when it comes to portrait photos because I think they're using the wide angle camera to like do the depth detection, which is not, I think, still available on Google. They're using that portrait mode algorithm to just separate the photo. And there are times when I want to edit and remove the HDR from the 2x photos and it doesn't work. The night shots are great as well. The shutter speed is also good if you want to take pictures of your kids and pets, which I think it's still the best in Android phone right now. So if you want something like that, Pixel is your best bet. Also, the 2x shots are really improved this time, which I think is on the same level of iPhone 15, which I think is really good, and I don't miss the telephoto lens anymore. And even if the processing is not great on this phone, I think the software experience is one of the best you can get in Android phone. The animations are much better. Even I like it better than iPhone many times. The haptics are one of the best on Pixel phones. So if I just talk about the software experience, I think this is the best experience you can get when it comes to animation and the interaction and the haptics on Android right now. And if I talk about the price, I think if you're in US, it's still a good pricing, but in most of the countries, I don't think it's worth the price for what it offers because Google are just giving you the AI capabilities, which is basically going to work on cloud. So the phone didn't get a lot of upgrades, but there is a price increase, and in India is actually a lot higher. So I think it doesn't offer the value. Also, the service centers are lacking. So at this point, I cannot actually recommend this phone to a lot of people. So my final conclusion is to wait for a price drop, or if you really want to purchase this phone right now, you have to understand the drawback of this phone because the resale value of this phone is not really great. My friend just recently bought Pixel 8 Pro and he had to sell it for a really low price because the market is not really great when it comes to Pixel phone, especially in a market like India. See, I'm still going to use this phone because I love Pixel phones. And this is not my primary phone, so I don't get as many calls. So the call drop is not another issue for me. But if you're going to use it for your primary phone, I think you should know about these things that the network can be a problem if you're not in US. Maybe in US you're getting a much better experience. But that is something I want to know from you guys. Tell me if you already have Pixel phones, which Pixel device you have, in which country you are, and what is your experience. I just want to understand like how it works for different countries. I've only seen like US people talking about it, that's amazing, or people in India because I live in India that it's terrible. So please leave your comments so that I can understand the Pixel market much better. Thank you for watching. My name is Rohit. I'll see you in the next one. Till then.